let's get back to Mike's Happy Hour Show with Mike and Hellcat.
And now it's time for Mike's Spotlight on Industry Leaders.
Hey guys, thanks for sticking with us on Mike's Happy Hour. Now we're going to get to our Industry Leaders Spotlight. We're talking with Scott Markowitz with Markowitz Law Firm, who specializes in traffic ticket elimination. I call him the ticket terminator. And Scott, I appreciate your time today, brother.
I'm here. Thank you for having me, Mike.
My show is about stories, horror stories with a great ending, right? So you have a lot of interesting stories that drive people crazy. Tickets are a nuisance, and you specialize in these things, right?
Yes, sir. I do.
Okay, so we're all in Houston. Before we get into these stories, where all do you provide service?
Well, Markowitz Law Firm provides services in, Harris County and all the surrounding counties.
Galveston County.
Brazoria, Fort Bend, more and more so over here in Chambers County, towards Baytown.
Harris County?
Yes,
okay.
All of Harris County.
All right, cool. Well, we got some cool stories we're going to share with you guys, so pay attention. Now, I want to start off with a juicy one, because if you have kids that are of driving age, and this story is about a 16-year-old girl that has a provisional license, and the family got her a car. I mean, she just started driving. She gets stopped at 102 miles an hour in a 60-mile-an-hour zone.
That's right.
I bet her mama was so happy to hear that.
Well, grounded she was.
Well, the reason I want to spotlight you is because you specialize in this. You've done this for like 30 years, right?
Almost 30 years.
You don't practice any other kind of law.
No.
So you're pretty much the king of the hill when it comes to this particular type of nuisance, right? So what happens here is people do not realize how affordable it is to have you represent them, and most of these things get dismissed as opposed to going through all this other minutia, right, and expense, and the implications thereafter. So the situation here is, if this family did not hire you, okay, then they were looking at definite conviction, loss of the license for an undetermined period of time, huge fines, and not to mention major insurance increases for the child, because now they're high risk.
That's right. That's right. So when she got the ticket, she could look on the ticket and read her options, and she would find that she has none. Defensive driving you can't do when you're more than 24 or 25 over the limit. So 25 miles an hour over the limit or more, no defensive driving. Most courts have a limitation on speed for deferred disposition, or what we call probation. She just didn't have any options. So what's mom and dad to do? Right? Pay the fine. Pay the fine.
Pray that Scott Markowitz comes down the chimney.
Now, thankfully, her parents were clients of mine previously, so they were already astute. They knew we need to call Scott, and they did. Now, her situation at home didn't change, but her parents' financial situation with regard to insurance did change, because that case got dismissed.
Dismissed.
Yeah,
I love those shirts. You got QQQ on your shirts. Is it quash?
Yeah. Well, quash is same thing as a dismissal.
Exactly.
Quashing of a complaint.
See ya.
Yeah.
Thanks for your time.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move into professional drivers. I found this an interesting story. So you were telling me that there's a general systemic nature to professional CDL drivers.
I'm not sure if it's systemic, but what it is, I find that many of my commercial drivers call me when they're home for the weekend, or they've got a day off and they're driving their personal vehicle. And it always seems to be a race car, right?
Well, they're driving these big ass trucks around. You do need a little excitement on the weekends.
That's it. And inevitably they pick up tickets for speeding. It's not a problem when they're in the commercial vehicle. No speeding tickets. Very rarely do I get a speeding ticket for a commercial driver in a commercial vehicle. But in a personal vehicle, that's like an everyday occurrence.
Yeah, but why is that a problem?
It's a problem. Because,
they're not in the truck.
Well, when they go to the instruction sheet and look at their options, like the young lady did, the 16-year-old, they will find that commercial driver's license holders cannot do defensive driving. They cannot get probation. They have no options other than to fight their ticket.
Okay, so this scenario, so the CDL driver, and he doesn't know about Markowitz law firm to represent him in court, or maybe he does know about you but doesn't think he needs you. How does that pan out?
He gets convicted.
Okay, so now he's got a ticket on his record, which is not distinguished whether he was in the truck or in his car.
Doesn't matter.
How does that potentially impact his professional future?
Most of the drivers I talk to say that if they get a single moving violation on their record, a single accident, it's over. They get terminated.
Oh my God! Seriously?
Yeah, seriously.
Wow.
The commercial insurance policies that these companies take out on their drivers are very, very coveted. They're strict. The companies cannot afford to pay what they're going to pay if they retain this employee.
Now, on the other side of the fence, you've represented a lot of these CDL drivers, and in the case where they're now they have representation by you that specializes in this. What's a typical result there?
Dismissed.
Like it never happened.
Well, one disclaimer: I cannot tell a client or a potential client that's 100% guaranteed going to be dismissed. I cannot do that, and I don't do that.
No, I'm not. I'm not asking you to say that. What I'm asking is what historically has been a common result.
Right. Where there's a will, there's a way. I'm going to find a way to get that ticket dismissed. And I can tell you, anecdotally, over the course of a year, I might have a single conviction for commercial driving, typically when we have to go to trial on the case. But otherwise, no. It's very, very rare that a client gets convicted.
Well, how many cases do you do a year?
I do about 2,500 cases a year.
Jeez. I'd say that's a pretty sterling record.
And those are just commercial cases, commercial driver cases.
Oh, my God. That is amazing. You must be living in court.
Well, I spend a great deal of time in court.
Have you learned how to fly helicopters? It's a lot faster. I did, and it works for me.
I'm scared of heights.
Oh, my God, dude. Okay, so now we're going to go to another story about now this. The funny thing is there's so many of my friends that smoke marijuana. I mean, it's amazing. It's like I feel like I'm on the outside looking in because I don't, right?
Right.
I just don't like the way it makes me feel. So, but it's like they're smoking cigarettes, right? So this case is a 90. They're going 90 miles an hour in a 45 on a service road. They get pulled over, and the police found marijuana in their car, and they're ticketed for it.
Right.
Now they didn't take them to jail.
No.
Okay.
Now, I'm not saying that people are not still being arrested in Texas. That's certainly the case.
It's not legal.
It's still illegal to possess marijuana in quantity. But typically in urban areas like where I practice in the greater Houston area, it's now mostly cite and release. And we're seeing more and more of these possession of drug paraphernalia cases when marijuana is found.
Yeah, but they're going to court. They were speeding 90 in a 45.
Yeah.
And this one obviously doesn't meet that 25-mile-an-hour standard.
Right. They couldn't do defensive driving, and in the court we were in, they weren't getting a deferred either, probation. The judge in this court absolutely would not have anything to do with that. Okay.
But they've also got possession of marijuana, which is not good.
It's not good, except in this court, I think we had a judge that smoked marijuana. So we were able to cut a deal on the marijuana case and get the ticket for speeding dismissed.
Baby.
Right?
Yeah.
And the paraphernalia case got dismissed too, but it was placed on a probation. Person had to pay a fine and had to take a drug course online. They couldn't take the driving course online. They were going too fast. But no quantity of marijuana is going to stop you from taking the drug course.
But when you get these things dismissed, and this is the thing that I don't think people understand. I mean, you're only charging a small fraction of what the fine will be if they paid the ticket. Plus, their insurance is definitely going up, and you're resolving a lot of that stuff, and it's not on their record.
Yeah, the best outcome is when I can save the person some money, and that often is the case. There are some cases where we haven't saved a lot of money, but we've certainly saved money down the road because insurance isn't going up, right? But the best outcome is just flat dismissal, no court fees, and you've paid nothing but my fees.
That is just a no-brainer. I mean, absolute no-brainer. I mean, going the other route is painful, time-consuming, and expensive.
That's true. That's true.
So, before we wrap this segment up, I want to ask you one question. Do you have other attorneys hiring you to go do this?
Oh, I do. Yes, of course. Of course.
I would think so.
Well, I'm in a niche market, and most of the criminal defense attorneys do hire me because they don't do it themselves. They're in the criminal courts. They're not in the traffic courts.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. All of the different scenarios and stories I've heard, you fight. You are an endless seeker to figure out how to get it resolved and get it quashed or dismissed. And that passion is how come you're just not a paper pusher? Why do you have such passion to win?
Well, because I'm inquisitive. I mean, I was as a kid, I loved science, right? I loved exploring things, doing chemistry sets, trying to figure out things. And that inquisitive nature has carried on into my law practice. I mean, I look at each case as, the harder the state fights, the more...
it's just like jerking your head.
it just gets me going. I mean, I'm going to find a way. There is a way, always. And I'm going to find it.
I'm telling you, man, your clients are really lucky. It's Scott Markowitz. You can find him on Facebook at Markowitz Law Firm. You can call him today at 713-521-7568, 713-521-7568. Again, go check his stuff out at Markowitz Law Firm on Facebook. This guy's awesome. He's going to save you a lot of headaches. And, if you've got kids, you better hear what I'm talking to you about, girl. And I'm telling you right now, them kids they'll create stuff that you never dreamed of, but he can save your butt. Thanks for your time, brother.
Always a pleasure, Mike.
All right. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Okay. Now I've had enough fun for one day.
Thanks for hanging with us on Mike's Happy Hour Show.
Bye. I hope you liked it.
See you next week.